Hi, everyone. This is Sebastian Traeger, Managing Director at Reliability.com, and welcome back to another Reliability 4.0 episode. As always, we're on a mission to help make the world a more reliable place. We do that as a company through the power of root cause analysis, and we like on this podcast to talk to other guests who are making the world a more reliable place in their area. Using other tools and techniques as well. So today we are thrilled to be joined by Doug Garrison of Zimmer Biomet. Doug, welcome to Reliability 4.0. Thank you for being on with us.
Oh, no, appreciate the opportunity, Sebastian. Looking forward to the podcast.
Great. Well, we always like to start off with just getting to know a little bit more about the company that our guests work for and their role. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Zimmer Biomet and then your role specifically there?
Okay, quick kind of company background. One is we manufacture med device, so we're governed by regulatory agencies, which adds a bit of complexity to the overall manufacturing scheme. We're a global company. Where I reside, actually in Warsaw, Indiana, is the largest orthopedic manufacturer under one roof across the globe. So it's a rather large site. Just in our general vicinity, we have about 10 different manufacturing buildings locally, all doing different iterations of med device. And then, of course, we have our ZB network across the globe, which we have EMEA locations, we have Puerto Rico locations. And continue to kind of evolve of where it makes sense to invest for those global operations. So great company. Lots of challenges and opportunities in the med device landscape, but I've really enjoyed my time here. And again, it's a 100-year-old company coming up on it. It's 97 years old to be a matter of fact. And Zimmer was started by the family name of Zimmer, and back, like I said, 95 plus years ago, and has continued to evolve into implants and technology. And Biomet was actually started by a legacy Zimmer employee back in the mid to late 70s. And then just, 5, 6, 7 years ago, they merged back into one company, the 2015, 2016 timeframe. And now the company is Zimmer Biomet as we know it today.
That's great. And let us know what your role is there.
Actually started out here in 2014 and was hired in as the reliability manager. And it was when Zimmer was just starting their kind of reliability journey, understanding kind of that it's a key cog in that whole maintenance, plant engineering, facility type infrastructure thing. Just being able to have predictable, measurable, available, utilized equipment, because it really is in med device, whether we understand the manufacturing scheme or not, it is like a very large job shop as you process work. So you have kind of like cells that are manufacturing, and then so you have lots of variations of equipment, lots of models of equipment, lots of different age of equipment through time, because again, you have to go through the regulatory the bodies to validate your process and equipment. So a lot of things stay around for a while, just so you don't have those challenges of revalidation of your process. So understanding that kind of landscape, definitely important to start that reliability journey. And that's what I started out as. Now, fast forward a few years. Now I'm the director for all of Warsaw. So all those buildings that I had referenced at the beginning, for technical services, which now includes reliability, which now includes maintenance, which includes plant engineering. And then we have a small engineering team that is starting, that's more around the, more advanced technology from a maintenance, reliability, plant engineering standpoint, that is partnering across Warsaw as well with other functions, whether it's process engineering, operations, those type of things, as technology continues to expand and evolve.
That's good. Well, I want to dig more into that in a second. I always like, before we get a little too into the details of the work, just like to hear a little bit more just from humanizing you, just anything about your family or what you like to do outside of work that might be interesting to folks.
Yeah, for sure. And a great point too. That makes a difference a lot. So Been married for 27 years. Grew up in Indiana, so I'm back in Indiana now. Spent
Nice.
first 15 years of my career in Tennessee. Actually working for the Saturn plant that started up in Spring Hill,
Hmm.
Tennessee. So my roots are kind of in automotive manufacturing. So are my brother's roots, my father's roots,
Hmm.
my grandparents' roots, all automotive. Here in the Midwest, of course, when we date ourselves back to the 60s and 70s, when my grandfather started working in that industry, that was heavily what the Midwest had to offer for really good sustainable jobs. So back in
Okay.
Indiana now, came back to Indiana 2010, have two boys, college graduate that's getting ready to start his first coaching journey at a high school level football. So which is really cool. And I'll get to the coaching thing in a minute. And then I have an 18-year-old that's going to graduate college here in the next few weeks, or high school in the next few weeks, and also looking to get into
Congratulations. It's exciting.
looking to get into the engineering field here at Indiana Tech in Fort Wayne. But passion,
Great.
so my passion, though, outside of here is coaching, and
Okay.
whether that be youth in sports, whether that be local younger people or in educational institutions, on how we can connect with one another to best prepare us for what's ahead. I've always said if I would able to make a really good living at coaching for whatever reason that is, just to be able to impact people, that's what I do full time. And it's kind of neat to see that my 23-year-old kind of went that route. He stayed away from sports for a little bit, and now he's back in that route, and that's his passion. His passion is he wants to be able to coach and offer those opportunities to whether it be young people or people at the next level.
That's great. Well, that's fantastic. Yeah, I'm privileged to get to coach Little League baseball. I love it. So it's a good fun. It's good fun.
Yeah,
I can
there. Hey,
see.
we get to learn more from those kids, right? Than we
Yeah,
get to learn from anybody else, because you don't know what personality is showing up at an 8 or 9 year old every day.
it's
So you
true.
get to learn from that. So that is really cool. Me too. Started out with that. Been doing it for almost 18 years now.
Oh, great. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about your work at Zimmer Biomet. So just given the scope that you have, what kind of KPIs do you operate under? I know a lot of folks that we have on this listening to this podcast want to understand how are other people measuring success. So what are kind of the KPIs you follow, and how do you yeah, what is some of that you can share with folks?
Our most of our business model across whatever function, whether it's my core responsibilities, my connected ops partners' responsibilities, we kind of still operate on that QCDSM kind of overarching guidelines, which is quality, cost, delivery, safety, and morale. So we set
Okay.
up our metrics to kind of align to that within what our core responsibilities are. So in the quality realm, of course, being governed by the regulatory agencies, we have certain responsibilities that we have to adhere to. So our metrics around quality are mostly set up around PM compliance, backlog of work orders to know that your system is healthy and you're adequately staffed. So those quality things are rather rigid just because of the regulatory compliance thing. And it is
Okay.
important to have a successful business too. So it's a bit of both. Cost, and this is where, like, in total, instead of getting into the details of the metrics, like, the rest of it is really what is the value of what we as a function are able to deliver to our customers and our business partners. And whether that
Hmm.
value is the equipment is available, whether that value is our trusted input into what we should do next from an investment standpoint, what that value is, what is the proper way to really set this process up, because we may be equipment experts. How are we best managing the spend on the assets that are out on the shop floor? So actually where we've kind of evolved to over the past probably 3 years is, even though the asset owners are out in operations, they're the ones that know what the process needs to be, and then we help with input. We're actually like almost like their financial advisors. We have a each operations area has their own budget for repair and maintenance. We kind of roll that up in total across the sites. And then we manage that to give input into those value streams of like, what is the most appropriate thing to go spend? And what is the priority to do that? It makes sense to do that or not based on the age of the equipment or the intended use. So we've actually got to the maturity level and the trust from our business partners that we are actually managing that from like a advisor standpoint. And here's where you should go spend. And finances even allows us to do that as well because of their trust in us. So
That's great.
the value thing is, in my opinion, however that wants to be defined is the key from like a business partner, trusted partner relationship.
And so on that front, are you at the point where because I could see that being hey, we have to sign off on this before you spend, which nobody really likes it when they're in a scenario where they have to do something. Have they gotten to the point where they want to call you and get your input before making those decisions?
Absolutely. I mean, it's just part of our DNA now.
That's great.
Part of our day, we actually in the morning, every morning, each day, we are actually have people within our groups. So within the technical services group that is partnered with one of the operations area. And every morning they are walking their operations area to kind of go through the last 24 hours of, okay, along with other trusted, so there may be a finance individual on that walk. There's several people from the operations area in the walk, including quality and manufacturing and process engineers. But part of those discussions every day are to visit what those priorities are, what the challenges are. And then if there are asks of that nature, then we're bringing it back in total. So by 9:30 in the morning, we're kind of summarizing all of that. So we are prepared to like talk about it with purpose and objectiveness by 10 a.m. every day, where the sites kind of roll up their last 24 hours.
That's
So
great. Wow, that's amazing.
absolutely. They trust our input. So they're actually looking for us to give that guidance rather than even seeking it out. They're kind of saying, hey, let me know when you have that for me. So
Okay.
it's just been part of the maturity journey in our culture and our DNA, which is really, really good, right? Because you can't ask somebody that's running the day-to-day trying to make X amount of widgets to really be a subject matter expert on all of the other things that go into making the widgets too.
Yeah,
So it's a really
absolutely.
great partnership.
That is, I like that. In terms of tools that you use, and whether it's in this process or others, what are some of the tools that you find indispensable in your role or across the organization?
There's
And I'm
one.
thinking, specifically software tools in general.
Well, of
Go
course,
ahead.
we have our CMMS is SAP, and probably it does its justice, but it's more of a financial kind of system that's set up. But it does have an SAP PM module, plant maintenance module. So, but having that library of information along with some of the costing that goes into that, absolute must have. If somebody's
Huh.
debating, like, hey, I don't know if it's worth the CMMS, depending on the complexity, like we are able to probably access more data than I would say almost any other function, because we're not managing it by like spreadsheets or managing it by like tribal knowledge. Like we have the system that all of that record repository and work order history and spend is all right in that SAP plant maintenance module. So that tool is
Right.
great. The other, what I would say, and it may not necessarily be a tool, but I can say it's probably the best North Star, is we are probably on our sixth iteration, so sixth year of doing asset criticality assessments. And
Okay.
not to the point where we're doing, does it have hazardous material? Does it have like you can look those up and there might be 30 different flavors of columns that need filled out for a standard like asset criticality assessment. What we decided to do was what is of value. So I'm back to the value, and I use that term broadly. What is the value of the asset criticality? Is it a key process? Is it a standalone single point of failure? Is it involved in a key process or a key brand? What is the subject matter level expertise within engineering or programming or my team? What is the age of the asset? How common and regionally supported is the asset? So all of those things that provide value if something was to happen, that you're able to quickly address what the issue is, and everyone across all the functions, whether it be central engineering, manufacturing engineering, ops, ourselves, my team, even the input of quality and finance, everybody agrees to what that limited list of criticality is. So if there's an issue with any of those things, automatically goes to the top. And we
It's
actually
good.
have an identifier within SAP that shows those critical assets once that's reviewed annually, that it has a identifier that says it's a critical asset. And if there's a work order or an emergency thing, or there needs to be scheduled work done, that automatically moves to the top so that can get top priority. And
It's
that
good.
being able to have that agreement across the business of what those critical assets are instead of the squeaky wheel, game changer. And
Hmm.
really, it's how your business is set up or how you want those categories to evaluate that criticality. Because you can find all kinds of templates, right? But a
Right.
lot of that doesn't apply to every business. So what are those key things with your business partners that you can agree, like, these are the 5 to 10 things we are going to measure the criticality of the asset on. And then with purpose, we're going to go after those things to continue to like hone in so they don't have issues. Or if it's like a one-off single point of failure, how can we get that off the list and consolidate that work with something else that we don't have a single point of failure? But it really almost drives our entire nature of what we do every day.
That's great. Well, that I think will be extremely helpful for folks to hear just how you are using that asset criticality assessment and how valuable that is. So appreciate you sharing that. Of course, we as a company, because we do root cause analysis, we always ask folks, and I'll ask you, how do RCAs fit into your process? How important are they, and how do you feel? How do you kind of fit that into your process?
It's extremely important. I mean, that is like you're getting to one of our metrics as well. So we actually we monitor plant disruptions. So whether that is like an overall system disruption, like I said, we have plant engineering. So all the product contact air that's supplied to the site. So that if something with the air system goes awry, we can impact the entire site. So
Hmm.
business disruptions along water systems, utility outages, those type of things that are unplanned, we actually go through any event like that that occurs, we measure it, we report on it, and then we actually have a diverse team that works on whatever that diverse team needs to be based on the issue. We actually go through whether it's a brief version of the A3 process or the full course A3. And that is just our standard. The way that we problem solve is using that A3 to drive us to what could be the possibilities. What do we think the most likely cause is? What are the actions we're going to take? And then let's go measure it to see if we need to go take additional actions to try to make whatever that issue is go to bed. But we do that with
That's great.
recurring down equipment. Like if we actually have a metric now too that's looking at our worst offenders, right? Is almost what we call it. So did I have a group of equipment, whether by type or by process or by model, that happened to be the worst offender in that month? Like maybe I had 8 mills of similar DNA that had recurring breakdown issues. Well, I'm going to take those 8 mills, I'm going to go through their work order history, and then I'm going to look for any commonalities between those. And then if we have recurring themes, how do we go put things in place to make those recurring themes go away? And it's not just adding tasks to PMs either, because that's what people like to do. It's like, I see something, I'm just going to go add it into the PM. Well, not really. That can just become wallpaper, right? And you're nodding your head. So I think that you're maybe in
Right.
agreement with that. It has to be with purpose if you're going to go put time on some routine, whether it's a schedule or a route, that I'm going to go take action on this thing every time I go touch it. Because also the touching it creates risk. So with purpose, it's like, what can I do to make these recurring things go away? And it may mean I need to put a project together to go do like 5 or 6 things on a piece of equipment to try to take care of what those recurring themes are. But yeah, the root cause thing and us using an A3 and then really having metrics to point us to where we need to look, it's very, very important and very beneficial to the business.
That's great. And just for benefit, when you mentioned the worst offenders, is that data you're pulling from SAP, from your work order system? Is that where you're finding out what those are?
Yes, definitely. Yep.
Okay. That's
right
good.
from SAP work order history. Absolutely.
I want to kind of hit two more things. I know we're getting close to the end of our time, but just real quickly, areas of innovation, either in AI or IoT. Where are you seeing, or what are you excited about when it comes to innovation?
The thing that is most interesting for us that we found probably in the last 2 to 3 years, it might have even been, and like I said, I kind of put milestones in my career, like it's pre-COVID, post-COVID, which seems bizarre, right? But like
Right.
during COVID, just because of how the landscape changed in manufacturing and supply chain, and there's things became a little more critical and lead times for things got longer and availability. So the ignition type software that you're kind of able to refine for how you want to use it for either monitoring equipment or monitoring the output of the equipment from like a even that's process piece that is supposed to get out, gives you some visibility, especially in a job shop location where it's not just an assembly line where you can look at the assembly line. Did it stop? Did it start? Is it bank full? Like this job shop and this giant complexity under a couple, 3, 4, 10 different roofs does give you some visibility to that. So we're kind of starting down the road where we're owning how we want to kind of refine that for use. Um,
Okay.
that's probably from a technology standpoint, the 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 sensory stuff where we can put sensors on everything. Really, from us, we don't see a big benefit because our tolerancing on our medical device, our implants, is typically so tight that you will start seeing things that on whether it's the output of the equipment or how the out of the equipment behaves. Before, if you tried to put a sensor in there that say, hey, between here and here, I want you to give me a signal that I need to go look. We would actually have to put that signal in there that we would be there looking all the time
Okay.
just based on the precision of our equipment. So for us, not a lot of use yet for the overall sensors, but monitoring to see if the equipment is running, that the spindle speed is okay, that the output seems to be okay, to kind of give us that guidance, has been pretty beneficial.
Okay. That's good. That's helpful. And then a final word. What's just kind of one thing you would want to impart to other? You mentioned coaching. You love coaching. So if you're coaching other reliability engineers, what's kind of one area of expertise or wisdom that you like to pass on?
And this is going to sound weird from a technical guy, probably,
Hmm.
but the coach guy it probably won't. It's being able to have a culture and trust with your business partners. I mean, for
Hmm.
real, because we can be very technical, and then depending on who those folks are, they may want to hear you, or they may not want to hear you, or they may think it's a necessary evil or a bit of a liability. But having that culture where this technical team is to support the overall plant and its performance, that culture and trust, that is for sure,
Hmm.
my opinion, the number one thing. And I've been at places where it's been, you could have the gnashing of teeth, a bit of butting heads between, groups like ours and who finance, even from a spend standpoint and operations, but building that trust and then having the culture spread to the rest of your team so that trust can happen throughout all the interactions, for sure it will put you at the top tier of almost anything if you get assessed to a third party for asset management, or you could do all of the things but not have trusted partnerships in that culture, and you can't move the needle near as much. So that would be it. A weird one, but that would be it.
No, that's a great one. I mean, I'm a big fan of a writer. His last name's Lencioni, and so he writes a lot about just how important trust is on teams. And so I don't think it's at all strange to say that that's just the bedrock of building good working relationships, right? If you have that trust, then a lot gets done. So doesn't it all sound strange?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I appreciate that. Well, listen, we are so thankful to have had Doug Garrison with us on this call. Thank you for your helpful insights. Again, Doug is with Zimmer Biomet. Really appreciate this. I think a lot of folks will benefit and be blessed by this. So thank you for being a part of this conversation.
Yeah, thank you, Sebastian. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. And again, for all the listeners, we are about helping engineers and really anyone take steps to more successfully implement technologies and bring about better reliability. So if you're looking for RCA training resources, that's what our company does. We'd encourage you to check out reliability.com. And if you're looking to dig deeper into RCAs, we have in-house software called Easy RCA that can help you do it. Again, we appreciate you coming on this journey with us. Thank you all for being on today on this journey of ours to make the world a more reliable place. And so we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thanks so much.